What's up, mime timers? Oh, I have a name for my audience now. Oh, baby, mime timers. Oh yeah. Here's a cheeky update for y'all. I'm going to prison next week. If this doesn't interest you, then please skip ahead to the interview with my really good bro, Victor Min. Yes, I'm going to a maximum security prison in California on Wednesday, February 26th. What's my crime? Subscribing to the email newsletter of one of my favorite podcasters, Jordan Harbinger. If you don't know him, look him up. He's a god of podcasting, mate. You see, he's hosting his 40th birthday at High Desert State Prison. 50 of us listening fans have signed up to participate in Hustle 2.0, a volunteer program to help incarcerated people get a second chance at life. This means I'm flying to Reno, Nevada next Tuesday, staying for 2 nights, just to fly back in time for another epic weekend in Seoul. I've already done online training and reading in preparation for the event, so I have some idea of what to expect, but I think this might be life-changing. This is a huge deal for me in so many ways, and I can't wait to go to prison thanks to a dope podcaster who has inspired me to start my own show. Jordan, if you're listening to this, I love you. Stay tuned for when I come back. A free man, a free mime. Oh, baby. You know what time it is? It's mime time. Victor Min is the CEO of Ventorio, a company that sells the #1 wine aerator on Amazon along with other wine accessories. It's a successful 7-figure business which has been expanding into Korea. He's been summoned to the unique role of helping other Korean entrepreneurs get at the e-commerce game. Talented, funny, smart as a brain can smart, and business he can. Also, he's one of the humblest people I've ever met. We talk about a range of things, including how Amazon is going to take over Korea and probably the world. Jeff Bezos is striving to be the best of all time. Just look at where relentless.com redirects. We beseech you, Jeff Bezos, oh mighty billionaire god of Amazon made. Oh, Long Johnson, please don't hurt us. We love you. Also, Elon Musk is a meme lord. Also, Victor and I talk about being stuck in the rat race, feeling like cogs in the global capitalist machine. Is it worth pursuing a piece of the pie when massive corporations are gobbling everything up? What value do I have to offer the world? These are questions I ask myself sometimes. And Victor responds like a god. The world is not always stacked against me or unfair against me. It can be stacked for me, unfair to my advantage. The world can work for me if I just know how to deal with it. 이기는것 버릇이다. 지는것도 버릇이고. Winning is a habit, so is losing. I will make winning a habit for the rest of my life. What about you? I hope you enjoy this episode. I put a lot of heart and soul into the interview and production. I spent a lot of time. Well, part of that maybe was because I'm not that prepared and I was scatterbrained for this particular one. But I'm getting better. I sincerely hope you get some value out of this. So please subscribe, hit the 5-star rating, and share. Thank you so much for listening. Let's get it. Oh, baby. Good gravy. Everyone, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mime Time. I have a very special guest with us today, a good bro of mine. His name is Victor Min. Victor, welcome to Mime Time.
Hi, Mime. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Happy New Year, by the way. Did you have a good Salal? What did you do on Salal?
I just worked.
You just worked? Okay. How is your work-life balance, if there is such a thing? When most people are on vacation or like Salal or New Year, Christmas, are you hustling the whole time through usually?
Yeah, I guess I am, but I don't really like to think about it that way within the boundaries that we are given. And if we use terms like work-life balance, like I feel that it kind of puts like a subliminal pressure to like have a life.
To have a life.
At the same time. Yeah. But I like work is my life. And I just feel that there has to be a distinction, but there doesn't necessarily have to be a balance. Balance can be different for everybody. So I work because I like to work. I work because, I mean, I don't really have anything much else to do. But that's why I worked so hard. It's not because I was like forced to work or anything.
That's beautiful and profound. What is your work, Victor, if you don't mind sharing with our audience?
I'm in e-commerce. I run a wine accessories company called Ventorio. We have the #1 rated wine aerator on Amazon. Right now, we're expanding through multiple different channels, including offline retail in Korea.
How was 2019 for Ventorio?
2019 was great. Yeah, we did a lot. Our online sales were good. We were able to expand into many different sales channels. Most notably, we were heavily publicized in Korea. I can't complain. We could have done better, but then, well, that same goes for.
Yeah, that goes for everyone. We can all do better at the things that we're going to do. But for those of you who don't know, being the #1 in any category or subcategory for Amazon in e-commerce is a very rare feat that few entrepreneurs or businessmen can even ever hope to achieve. And so I think what you've done is really remarkable. When I first listened to your interview with Chris Kim, shout out to Badass Asian Dudes, it really blew my mind. I thought like, man, this guy is so awesome. Like just when you talked about how you grew up, like, and you just like to build sandcastles, you like to, tinker around with a machine, and then like see what happens. Do you still feel like you have that childlike attitude? Or like, I just want to like tinker with the machine, tinker with the business, and see what happens.
Yeah, I think I'm fairly consistent on that. I mean, that's just who I am. I think in Chris's interview, I mentioned that. I mentioned the whole like tinkering story because I wanted to illustrate a point of how people have to find something that is in tune with who they actually are in order to, be successful. But if you want me to talk more about that, I could. But yeah, I think I'm still the same person.
How long has Ventorio been around? When did you first launch?
So I made my first sale on March 12th, 2015. Yeah, very meaningful date for me.
So that was since 2015, and it's 5 years, almost 5 years since then. Are you satisfied with how Ventorio has grown?
No. Yeah, no, I'm not. No, I'm not.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I could have done more.
To a peasant like me, like that's just amazing because again, #1 in a subcategory on Amazon, like that's phenomenal, and most people can never dream of it. But you're still pushing for your company, for your product, your baby to do better. When is ever enough?
Well, I don't think in terms like that. It's
in terms of sales, in terms of market share, reach.
Yeah, I'm kind of freezing up on this question because I never really think about it that way. It's like, of course I set goals. I've never really looked back and said I could have done more because I've never really thought about it, to be honest.
Well, maybe that's just my my limited mind putting these boundaries on, your activity for the past.
No. Like while it's kind of like this, it's like when you're actually doing the thing, it's kind of hard to see yourself from a third person perspective. And if you don't really see yourself from a third person perspective, you don't really look back and you're not really like, oh, I could have done more. And it's like, yeah, you could look to the past to learn from it. But then, yeah, I don't think I'm really paying much attention to that right now. I'm just thinking of like, what can I do with what I have right now? So I just never really thought about what could I have done more.
What I'm curious about is, of course, being in Amazon, most of your sales have been in the US. Is that correct? So when did you start trying to breach into the Korean market for the same product? What's that been like, trying to get into Korean e-commerce?
Well, my employees always told me that they should, that they wanted to try selling Ventorio in Korea. My employees actually once mentioned that like if I go to the States and I go to like all these like conferences, I mentioned that my product is wine aerator, and like some people recognize our product because our product is, fairly, it's not like a hit product, but then like people that search for wine aerator, like most of them have ours. So it felt nice being recognized in the States, and my employees told me that, they kind of wanted to feel that as well. Like they kind of wanted to feel the pride when they, saw somebody using our product. It's like, oh, that's my company's product. They wanted to feel that. And at the same time, I noticed that the consumption of wine was rising in Korea. Namely, the number of wine bars in Korea has been on the rise. And not only that, back about 2 years back, I started to notice that like Emart started to put a lot of like wine related videos on their YouTube channel, wine related content on their Instagram. So I knew that they were planning something really big with their wine and alcohol sales. So I just thought it was like the perfect time to get in, because I could ride that wave. I could take advantage of that wave and leverage my position on Amazon, and also leverage the marketing campaigns and the efforts of bigger companies in Korea that are trying to really capitalize on their wine sales. So yeah, that's why I decided to come into Korea, and it worked out really well. It worked out exactly as I planned.
For the audience, Emart is what would you call it? The Costco, the Walmart of Korea?
Yeah, Walmart of Korea. Yeah, but then they're also like Costco because they have another wholesale Emart. They have something called Emart Traders, which is basically like a Korean version of Costco.
I remember you were hustling for your first day of your releasing your product at Emart. How did that go? Your first day being like, what were you doing? Just like standing next to a kiosk of wine aerators, demonstrating the product?
Yeah. Well, I did that because it was kind of like a symbolic thing to do. I didn't really have to do that. And the thing about offline retail sales is that like they have like a certain process. So your product is not really displayed in the most ideal location or most ideal like aisle or whatever. So yeah, that was just a good learning experience. But then I didn't really do much there.
How hot is wine in Korea right now?
Wine is on the rise. The consumption of wine has consistently been steadily on the rise in Korea, but I feel that there's much more room for growth. The reason why I came into the wine accessories market right now is because I want to position myself before the industry develops more.
Mm-hmm. So it's not a saturated market for, say, wine aerators or wine accessories. Would you say it's non-existent?
Yeah, it's pretty much non-existent. Yeah, I think I think if I go into the nitty-gritty details, it will just be boring. So yeah, it's just pretty much non-existent. Yeah.
So selling wine aerators and making some cash. What do you want to do? Do you want to keep working with wine accessories, or do you want to go into something else, e-commerce related in Korea?
Yeah, like there's many different stuff that I'm doing with my wine accessories company. I'm expanding into different verticals. That's just a completely separate thing. I'm just going to grow Ventorio in its own right. Right now, what I'm working on more is I'm trying to establish myself as like the Amazon / e-commerce specialist in South Korea. Well, because I was actually kind of summoned to this position more than anything. So I want to position myself as like the Amazon / US e-commerce specialist in Korea and help many Korean brands launch their brands in the US and on Amazon. And later on, when I establish myself and kind of create a system to bring Korean brands into the US, I also want to do the opposite and bring a lot of like very good but lesser known US brands into Korea as well.
That's a pretty big role. You just found yourself summoned into this point to like lead Korean e-commerce, basically. Take what you learned from doing Amazon, selling in the US, and what is it? Teaching, mentoring, guiding other businesses to establish their own platform, e-commerce platforms here in Korea.
Well, I'm in a very unique position because, as you know, I'm not American.
Yes,
in any sense of the word. I'm 100%.
He's 100% Korean. Don't be fooled by his perfect English.
Yeah, I was, I grew up in Korea. Although I was exposed to Western U.S. culture and Western media from an early age, but I think, you meet a lot of 유학생s and you meet a lot of 교포s, and they're either one or the other. They know how to speak English, but then they don't really fully understand U.S. culture. And a lot of gyopos from the US, they speak Korean, but then they don't understand Korean. They don't understand the full nuances of Korean culture. But I think I'm in a unique position where I understand both.
I think you are in that unique position because it seems to me you can 100% understand American memes, South Park.
I'm a meme lord.
He is a meme lord.
I'm a meme lord. I understand memes better than most foreigners, most Americans. Yeah, that's my thing. Yeah, that's my whole that's why I'm into marketing. but anyway, memes are the future of marketing, by the way.
Memes are the future. They are marketing.
Elon Musk is a meme lord too.
In what way? What's his most recent meme, or what do you take away from
his whole thing with Cybertruck was a meme?
Yes.
He knew what he was doing. It wasn't a mistake. I even suspect that maybe he threw the steel ball at the window on purpose. Think about it. If he didn't do that, would the Cybertruck have would the Cybertruck a reveal have become an issue like it was? It became more well known because that whole breaking the window thing happened.
Yeah, it was.
But
hilarious.
Nevertheless, he got I don't know 186K pre-orders or something. So if you do the math, that's pretty crazy. And he spent $0 on advertising. He knew it was going to be super, super memeable. He knew that it was going to spread. People there's so many people made memes about it. Just go to Google and type in Cybertruck. You'll see all the user generated content, basically memes that was made with just that one event.
Yeah, memes are the number one marketing tool.
Yeah, but anyway, I think I was called on this position not because I understand just both cultures, but also because it just seemed like everything aligned. Amazon Korea, picked me as a top Korean brand. Blah blah blah. They are really trying to heavily increase the number of Korean sellers, and I'm helping them do that. So I think I'm just in a really good position to help a lot more Korean brands. And I look around, and there's a lot of agencies that are helping Korean brands launch on Amazon, but then if you really look into what they're doing, they don't really know what they're doing.
It seems lonely at the top. Are in Korea, as far as e-commerce platforms are concerned, do you see a lot of people who know what they're doing?
There's so many. I would never say that I'm at the top. Technically, I'm bestseller on Amazon as for wine pourers, but there are so many people in Korea that know much more than me about e-commerce. E-commerce is a field of, is it a field of study? I mean, there's so many different types of e-commerce businesses, and there's so many different ways to make money online that my specialty is mainly Amazon. Which happens to be an in-demand skill right now. Mm-hmm. So I'm lucky. But then there's so many other people, mutual friends that we know that know so much more about different aspects of marketing than I do. So I would never say that I'm the best.
How would you say that Korea's e-commerce platforms, biggest one that comes to mind is Coupang. How do you feel like they compare to Amazon within Korea? Do you feel like they're doing a good job? Do you think they're efficient? Like, what's your experience of these kinds of companies? I don't know if that's too broad of a question.
Yeah, they're doing a good job. Well, you want me to rate Coupang's?
No, you don't have to rate them. Comparing, say, the journey or the evolution of Korea's e-commerce, like a whole nation of people buying stuff online, comparing that to Amazon.
Okay. E-commerce in Korea is very, very different from e-commerce in the US because consumer behavior in Korea is fundamentally different from consumer behaviors in the US.
Ooh, get into that, please. Korean consumer behavior.
Well, the thing about Korea, e-commerce in Korea is that e-commerce in Korea has been around, I would say, like people have been used to buying stuff online for a much longer time than people have been in the US. So Korean people have been using the internet to buy stuff, not necessarily for a longer period of time, but Koreans have been doing it much more actively for a longer period of time. But the thing with Korean e-commerce is that as soon as Amazon started, going on its upward trajectory in the US, like the US had a lot more tools that helped e-commerce become a lot more streamlined. Like, Korea doesn't have anything like, well, now they do, but then before it didn't have anything like PayPal. But people would still the 인시스페이, and you have to get a confirmation code on your phone and type it in and download some verification program in order to buy something on Korean internet. You know that, right?
Oh, you mean it's like a KYC process?
Yeah. Have you ever bought anything online from a Korean website?
Yeah, Coupang. I had to register, my account using my my foreign registration card, my ID. From what I remember, yes, I had to do that. In the beginning, when you first move to Korea, you have to register accounts for different websites. A lot of times, they will, link your personal ARC, alien registration card number, or whatever your domestic ID is.
Yeah. So
register an account.
Yeah. So
that was
in Korea, if you want to buy something online, now it's not this bad, but then what you had to do in the past was that, you can't just, in the US, when you buy something online, you can just put in your credit card information, your shipping and billing address, and then that's it. And then you press, order, right? In Korea, you have to put in your credit card number, shipping and billing address. Plus, once you press order, you have to put in, you get a confirmation code onto your phone, and then you have to download some verification program on whatever device you're using, and you have to verify that again. So the checkout process was super, super, super complicated. Usually in US e-commerce, if the checkout process is, the more complicated it is, the more drop-off there is. But in Korea, people still bought shit online even when they had all that junk attached to checking out. So Koreans have a lot less resistance, I guess.
Or more tenacity. Or maybe they're more tenacious.
To buy something online because we're used to that. But in the US, it's if it's not a 2-click checkout, then I'm not buying this. It's too much of a hassle. So the way that Korean e-commerce developed and the way that US e-commerce developed is very, very different in a lot of ways. People are more used to buying stuff online in Korea, but the advertising methods aren't as sophisticated as the advertising methods that exist in the USA. But I think that has more to do with the super, super cheap advertisement costs in Korea versus the US.
Plus, Korea is a lot smaller. It's more centralized. Seoul metropolis, and with fast internet, everything's more connected. I feel like because Korea is so pali. There's a lot of movement and a lot of movement that goes with trends, and so I think I think people are quick to adapt to whatever it is, they want to buy. So do you feel like Amazon at some point is going to reach into Korea's market share and do you ever see Amazon, say, becoming bigger than Coupang in Korea? Like, is that a possibility?
Well, yeah, I think so.
Do you think that will happen? Do you think that's a probability?
I'm pretty sure it will happen.
Wow, you think Amazon is that powerful? I mean, yeah, it is huge.
You think I'm overestimating Amazon. I think you're underestimating Amazon. Amazon is a very, very, very scary company. The more you realize what Amazon is doing, the scarier they are. I'm pretty sure. Should I give you my analysis on why I think this is?
I would love to hear your analysis. I remember in your interview with Chris that you said you kind of got in a lucky time with Amazon, and that while you can still make money on Amazon's platform, now it's a lot more difficult.
No, I don't think it's difficult. I just think it's different. I think it's easier for a lot of other companies. It's just that you can't really just do the pump and dump type of I'm just going to create a Me Too product too, and I'm just going to copy what the number one guy does, and maybe I'll fare at least a little bit well. Like that strategy doesn't work anymore. But yeah, you have to understand Amazon as a platform. I won't go into this because this is a whole other vertical. But if I talk about like why I believe that Amazon is gonna eventually come into Korea, I would
love to hear your analysis on the beast that is Amazon. Why you would think it would take over like Korea or other Asian countries, if not the world.
Yeah, I can't really. If I speak on Amazon in its entirety, like one interview won't be enough. But if I give you my analysis on why I think Amazon is going to come into Korea. From what I know, Korea is like the 6th biggest e-commerce market. If you look at Amazon, like what is Amazon? Amazon is a company, right? And as a company, you're kind of forced to post, better and better revenues and more profit. Like your company is supposed to improve every year, right? And if we look at what Amazon has been doing now, Amazon has been, until like 2016, 17, Amazon has been trying to increase its market share, right? So what Amazon did during that period was, like, Amazon was the number one spender of Google ad spend. And what Amazon heavily advertised during that period was its Amazon Prime program. So what Amazon was trying to do was Amazon was trying to gather users for its Amazon Prime program, because Amazon is following. If Amazon gathers more Prime users, then those users are gonna start buying things exclusively on Amazon, and it's better for them in the long run, right? So it's gathering users so it could sell more products to them later on. But now the situation is a little bit different. Amazon, 2/3 of American households have Amazon Prime. Like there are more people that have Amazon Prime than people that have landlines. So
wow, I never realized that.
Yeah, there's more people that have Amazon Prime than landlines. So it's kind of meaningless for Amazon to sell cheaper and cheaper products. Because long time ago, Amazon wanted to sell cheaper and wanted to have a lot of cheap products on its platform, so that it could say to its customers, hey, you should buy the Amazon Prime program because look at how many cheap products we have on our platform. But long time ago, you could even see this in the changes in their algorithm. Long time ago, if you had a highly discounted launch, Amazon would up your keyword ranking. But now, if you do the same thing that worked like 3 years ago, your keyword ranking would actually go down, because Amazon doesn't want to sell cheaper products anymore. Amazon wants to sell more because everybody has Prime anyway, Amazon knows that people are going to buy on their platform anyway. So rather than lose money by selling cheaper products, they would rather have sellers promoting more and more expensive products. They would prefer sellers investing more on the pay-per-click program on their platform because they want to make.
Excuse me, what is the pay-per-click platform?
They want you to pay for Amazon ads, basically. So Amazon wants to make more and more money. The only way that Amazon can make more and more money right now is in the US, the internet penetration rate in the US is at 89%. That means literally everybody's online. So everybody's using Amazon anyway. It would be a waste of effort for Amazon to get this much more sellers to increase their sales.
Right, because so many people are selling on Amazon right now anyways.
Yeah, people are buying on Amazon anyway. Amazon in the US is oversaturated. So in order for Amazon to make more money, what do they have to do? They dominated online retail, so there's no more space that they could really expand online. What they have to do is they have to go to other countries and they have to go offline, which is exactly what Amazon is doing. And if you kind of look at what Amazon is doing, Amazon is trying to vertically expand as well. So they're buying their own fleet of cargo planes. They're making their own system of freight trucks within the continental USA. Basically, and in the past few years, you saw Amazon expanding to Australia and also most recently Singapore. Amazon was rumored to come into Korea back in 2015, but they didn't. I think it's because Korea has a very well established market leader in online open market. But when I see Amazon making small changes to their platform, one of the things that is very telling is that Amazon is trying to integrate their international platforms. So if you go on Amazon.com, if you go to a product detail page and if you scroll down to see the reviews, now you can see international reviews below the current US reviews. And if you go to amazon.co.uk or co.jp, you can search for products that is sold on Amazon.com on Amazon.jp. So that means you can order American products on Japanese Amazon. One of the biggest demands that exist in the online Korean e-commerce space is 해외 직구, which 해외 직구 is basically the Koreans want to buy foreign products from foreign websites.
Means abroad. What does 직구 mean?
직접 구매, direct purchase.
So abroad direct purchase.
But 해외 직구 has there are people that do foreign purchases for other Koreans in Korea right now. But if Amazon comes in with all the benefits and the perks that they have in the US, in Korea all of a sudden, and now you can buy American products on Korean Amazon. If that happens one day, I don't know how they're going to do it, but I think that's what they're trying to do. If you look at all the signs, and you put two and two together, I mean, that's what they're trying to do. That's the only way they can go, actually.
Right, because they have this momentum as a giant corporation to continue to expand and gain market share at this point in other countries. It's can they actually slow down? Can they maintain just what they have now? Is that even possible?
I don't know. You're asking the wrong person. I'm not Jeff Bezos.
Yeah. What do you think about Jeff Bezos?
He's a very scary entrepreneur.
He's a very scary entrepreneur. Scary in what way? I've seen interviews with the man, and I think he's a genius. As to whether the implications of Amazon's corporate ethics and all that, that's another discussion. But I think
he has ethics. I don't know. I think it's debatable, but I don't think a lot of people will agree with his ethics. Like personally, I don't agree with his ethics.
I'm not saying I do either, but I think what he's built it's amazing that he's
I think he's a scary person because I think he's scary smart and scary ambitious. And he kind of looks like Lex Luthor. But
that's the meme.
Like one thing we know for sure is he is definitely smarter than all of us. And what I think he's trying to do is I think he's trying to be known as like the greatest businessman of our times. I think that's what he's trying to do. Like if you just put together if you just observe everything that he's doing, like I just think he's trying to be the best. I think that's just the singular goal in his mind. Like if you study, like if you kind of look into Jeff Bezos' life, like you know that one of his most favorite words is relentless. So if you go on your computer and type in relentless.com, it redirects to amazon.com.
Really?
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of like where he's coming from, I think.
He reminds me, what was it? Like Brainiac? He's the one who says to his friend, the same thing we do every day, Pinky, try to take over the world or something like that.
Oh, no, it's Pinky and the Brain.
Pinky and the Brain.
You're thinking of Pinky and
I mixed that up.
Brainiac is a Superman villain. Yeah.
Okay, but both of those might apply to Jeff Bezos. Dropping that. Elon Musk.
But I love you, Jeff Bezos. Don't penalize me on Amazon. I'm sorry. Oh, praise Lord Bezos.
Praise Lex. I mean, yes, Mr. Jeff Bezos.
Don't hurt me, please. I love you.
Blue Origin versus SpaceX. Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, they're kind of, some might say they're not running parallel. Some people say SpaceX is way more ahead. Who do you think is going to win in the space race?
I mean, it's not really a competition at this point. SpaceX is all like way ahead. Yeah.
Jeff Bezos, he's scary smart. You're smarter than all of us. Would you say the same thing for Elon Musk?
Elon Musk is like, I think I think Elon Musk is a historical figure. He's not just a great entrepreneur. I think he's somebody that's going to go down in history.
When I think of someone like Elon Musk, that helps me get out of bed in the morning. He said that one thing. You could look up videos of him on YouTube. I remember he said something like, you have to get out of bed every morning and find a reason to, go through your day. I'm not doing justice to that at all. Maybe I'll correct it later. But Elon Musk is like one of the most inspiring human beings of all time. And going back to the beast that is Amazon, one thing I think about a lot these days is there are all these massive corporations before us, maybe that established like generations before our time, maybe within the past couple of decades. And we're all trying to make money and, get ahead in this rat race, maybe get out of this rat race and not just feel like we're slaves or cogs in a giant globalist capitalist machine. And so in a way, like that's why I'm doing Mime Time and because like I feel like I have value to offer the world, and it doesn't mean like I need to, be like a giant corporate machine that it makes an amazing amount of money, but I want to make an impact on the world, and I feel like being an entrepreneur or going after something you're really passionate about can be so scary. What would you say to people who feel like, oh, why should I start a business or why should I pursue this kind of entrepreneurship when Jeff Bezos already has the world, is already conquered the world. All these corporations, that you can't beat them. They have all this money. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like sometimes it's like here in Korea, it's like Hell Joseon, hell meaning hell, and Joseon meaning the old word for Korea, and it feels it's like 80 to 90% of the population. They feel like it's super competitive. Markets are super saturated, and people like they're stuck, maybe working a 9 to 5 or 9 to 9, and like there's no escape. Like, what value do I have to offer the world? And it seems to me that you've done pretty well for yourself. But I feel like there's just a generation of like lost souls, people who feel like they have no generation, no sense of direction. no value to offer to the world, what would you say to these people in this dog eat dog super hyper competitive world? I'm sorry, maybe that was like I rambled on too much for that question.
Are you asking me why should somebody create a company if there's already a company like Amazon out there?
Something like that. Because the world is competitive, life is competitive.
If you don't want to start a business because the world is competitive, then don't start a business.
Okay, very, very well put.
Well, I mean, if that's the thing that you're worrying about even before you start a business, good luck, bro. Like, it's not going to work out for you. Like, no matter what you do, like, because you're already losing. You already lost in your mind before you started, right? Like, Okay, so let me kind of address how you framed the question. Yeah, I know that from a certain perspective, life can look like it's hard. And I get that a lot of like Asian young men in the US, when they're growing up, they see many different things than I do. Like I was never I was always kind of like an outsider, but then I was never like discriminated based on my appearance. So I only dealt with other races when I went into college after I went through puberty. So I don't know how that thing is like. But I've never really thought the world to be stacked against me. And that's not because I was like born in a super wealthy family or anything, because I wasn't. The world is an unfair place, and that's great news. The world is an unfair place, and that's great news, because anybody who thinks, oh, shucks, the world is an unfair place, oh, it sucks, they're assuming that they're going to be on the losing end of the unfairness balance. Like, I don't think that exists in the first place anyway, like fair or unfair. I just think that, like we're going through different gradients in our lifetimes, and sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. I've never really thought the conditions were stacked against me. Like, I think it's kind of useless to think that way. There's two ways that you can view life and reality. You can assume that everything is against you, or you can assume that everything is working for you. I believe that the universe can work for me if I just know how to deal with it. I've never really...
You never thought that the world was stacked up against you?
No. I don't think I have.
Oh man, that's amazing, because that's how I felt growing up. Like, that's how I felt growing up in America for all sorts of reasons, growing up in a dysfunctional family. And now I see those things, all like the childhood trauma, all the bad stuff that I went through. Looking back, I felt like it made me more human. I felt like those are very humbling experiences. It taught me to be a more compassionate, humble person. It taught me to connect with people wherever I go, even people who, people who are lonely and sitting in a corner, like, because I know what that felt like. I've gone to, corners where someone's sitting by themselves and said hi, and asked them how they're doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That's great. Do you know the concept of learned helplessness?
Learned helplessness? No, but I felt like that's what I grew up learning. When I was back in high school, one of my friends said something that really sticks with me from this day on. Like, I tried to. Okay, so you mentioned you growing up in a dysfunctional family. I grew up in a super dysfunctional family. Like I also, like, I don't know about other people too, but then like my parents went through like a super, super nasty divorce. My stepfather used to beat my mom, like crazy stuff like that. But, there's a concept in psychology called learned helplessness. I'm going to tell you two experiments, psychological experiments. Like, I can't source it because I know the study was done. I just can't name the exact study for you. But then what they did was they had these cages where they put in dogs, and they electrified the bottom
floor of those cages. So when they electrified the cage, the dogs would feel it and they would like hop around and try to get out of the cage. Now, they had two cages. One of the cages, the walls were low enough so that the dog could easily jump over. And another cage, the walls were way too high, so the dog couldn't possibly think of jumping over, right? So let's say the cage with the tall walls is experiment A, group A, the group where they put the dogs in the tall walls, tall walled cages, and the cage with the shorter walls, let's call them group B. So they electrified two groups of dogs. The dogs in group A eventually learned that they couldn't jump over the cage wall, and they sat down on the bottom on the electrified floor, and they just took the pain. And group B learned to jump over the wall whenever they felt a shock. What is interesting is that they switched up the groups afterwards.
Ooh.
So the dogs that learned from group cage B was electrified in cage A, and the dogs that were electrified in cage A were electrified in cage B. So the dogs that learned that they could jump over the wall kept on trying to jump over the wall for a much longer time period than the group A dogs initially did when they were electrified in cage A. But then the more interesting thing is the dogs from control group A, when they were put in the lower, the cages with the lower walls, when they could easily jump over the walls, they still just laid down and took the pain because they learned to take it. So, they learned to be helpless. I'm doing a very, very bad job of explaining it. It's because
I think you did. I think you did well, man. Okay, so learned helplessness.
So the dogs in group A, they learned from the initial experience with the cages, with the high walls, that they couldn't jump over the walls. But when they were put into a similar situation with lower walls, even though they could easily jump over the wall, because of a familiar stimulus and because of the fact that they learned that the wall was too high from the previous cage, they just gave up way early on. So the thing that I was saying before, one of the sayings that my friend said to me that still sticks with me now is he said that his dad said 이기는것도 버릇이라고.
이기는것도
버릇이고 지는것도 버릇이라고. So winning is a habit, and if winning is a habit, losing is also a habit. So I don't want to build a losing habit. I don't want to develop a losing habit. And if I view, like, even though it's unrealistic, I would rather be overconfident than underconfident.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
That's great.
Because really, you have no idea how your own mind sabotages yourself. So, man, if you're going to give yourself a fighting chance to doing anything, I mean, overconfidence is a much better strategy. I'm not talking about this from a position where I want to like say, oh yeah, you gotta hustle, guys. You have to have a positive mental attitude. No, I'm not talking from that type of like self-help guru type of position. I'm just saying the fact of the matter is, like, you have to have confidence if you're gonna give yourself a fighting chance. Like, that's the baseline. Yeah.
That is the baseline. Well, Victor, I mean, that was great. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So, I mean, I would like to, again, relay that message to the audience. You know, it's all good. It's all good. I know you came from another presentation and you know, you're busy doing your thing.
I was speaking Korean and English the whole day. So like, if I speak English only the whole day, my English is a little bit better. But then if I'm speaking both languages, like it kind of gets jumbled up towards the end of the day. So
That's all
please
good.
understand.
Yes, I understand. And thank you, audience, for understanding us today. I'm a little tired myself, a little scatterbrained, but I want to kind of summarize for our audience. You don't make losing habits. You want to make winning habits, and it's better to be overconfident than not. Because otherwise, like how will you know what you're capable of unless you really try to apply yourself, unless you really try to jump for those high walls. Jump for those high walls, as much as you can. Because what else do we have? And that's not like a positive or negative thing. I like the way you said it. It's just a fact of life. That's just the baseline. You won't know unless you try to jump for those high walls.
You don't want to build losing habits because your mind is very, very powerful. And if your mind draws a boundary somewhere, it's going to be very hard for you to break out of it, even though you physically might be able to break out of it, just because you are sabotaging yourself mentally. And man, you really have to give yourself a fighting chance. I mean, like when you're running a business or when you're trying to like do something very, very ambitious, like people out there aren't really going to give a shit about like what you feel and what you think. So if you don't give a shit about if you don't give a shit about yourself, nobody, it's going to be very, very, very hard for you to, find the inner strength to really push yourself every day,
Well, Victor, I think that's just about all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time. What is some way that people can connect with you or follow your exploit? Instagram handle?
Yeah, my Instagram handle is Bigger Circle. And I might be starting a YouTube channel soon, but then that's going to be in Korean. So I don't think your audience would be very...
Well, what about 2020 going forward? Like what's going to be your focus for this year? What's your 2020 vision? Is it going to be growing Ventorio, making it really awesome?
Yeah, so I have plans to grow Ventorio. My employees are wonderful, so they're taking care of that for me. I'm going to focus more this year on helping Korean brands expand to the US. I'm going to see if... Well, I already have like a plan of how I'm going to turn that into a business. I think I'm gonna branch out in many different creative ways this year.
That's wonderful. Well, I hope you fulfill a visionary 2020, Victor. And audience, thanks for tuning in today. Really appreciate it. And God bless. See you next time.